What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is a game I've been very excited to talk to you guys about. It popped up as an announcement back at the Ubisoft press conference for this last E3, and it has been on my radar since then. I've been very excited, looking forward to it because I'm a fan of the Tom Clancy games. In fact, you may have noticed over my shoulder, I do have a Tom Clancy Division poster that, anyone who's watched my videos may have spotted before. So being able to see this Tom Clancy game coming up here very soon, it popped on my radar pretty quickly, and now it's in alpha, and one of my buddies from Galaxy Heroes named FN2187 was able to get into the alpha, and he's been supplying me with screenshots and footage. So I've been wanting to make this video for a while, checked with the devs said, by all means, go ahead, make the video. So here we go, we are going to talk about this, and one big thing I do need to make sure that you guys know before we go any further is that everything that you're going to see here in this game, it's alpha gameplay, meaning it's totally subject to change and probably not going to exactly be the same when we get to the final product, so just keep that in mind as we go into that. And with that, let's dive into this game. So what exactly is Tom Clancy's Elite Squad? Many of you guys on my channel have been following me since I cover Galaxy Heroes, and think of this as something very similar to that. It's a similar concept idea where it's a hero collector's game, but instead of the Star Wars universe, it's going to be something set in the Tom Clancy's video game universe. So any kind of Tom Clancy video game out there, you can possibly see those characters within this game. Currently, there's only a few handful of games that are having characters put into this game right now, including The Division, Rainbow Six Siege, Ghost Recon, and the one and only Splinter Cell game, which, side note, Ubisoft, we're still kind of needing a new Splinter Cell game. It's been quite a while since we've gotten a new one. But any characters from these different Tom Clancy games you can likely find at some point within here. There's a good chance you're going to find it. There's a good diverse amount of characters already within the alpha, and there's still plenty of room to expand. There's a whole lot of characters that just aren't in there. One of the characters and factions I'm really looking forward to is some kind of rogue Asian faction like we have in The Division, with maybe possibly Aaron Keener thrown in as well, this mysterious character we don't know much about. Now, when it comes to your characters and their stats, the base stat for your characters is going to be based on their stars. And overall, there's a total of 5 yellow stars. And then, you've probably seen it already in this screenshot, there's also red stars, which you are undoubtedly already freaking out about.
What the hell are you? No! No! No!
And honestly, when I first saw this with the red stars, I just about noped out. I was pretty close to saying, no, I don't want this. And someone had to sit me down and basically explain to me what the red stars are with the game right now. It's not some kind of new paywall or paygate thing. What it is that you have the 5 stars and then you have the 5 additional red stars, but you still obtain them through the same farming method. So instead of thinking of like yellow and red stars, think of it as 10 stars overall for the character. There's no kind of thing that you have to pay for. There's no kind of gambling method. It's you farming them with the 5 yellow stars, and then to get the 5 red stars, you just farm those characters in the exact same spots. There's nothing new. There's no kind of insidious thing about it. So that is nice to see, which is kind of a breath of relief, because I was very ready to panic when I saw those red stars, because seeing what happened with something like Marvel Strike Force, that had me worried because I did not want that thrown into a new game already. So I'm a bit more receptive to the whole red star thing here if it's going to be just another way, or if it's going to be the exact same farming method that you use to get the regular yellow stars for the character. So when it comes to upgrading your characters, you have a few different things that contribute to the overall stats and abilities of everyone, and most of these are pretty similar to anything you've seen in other games. There's the stars, the gear, and then there's a new thing with the weapons. Now, stars and gear are pretty straightforward, and if you've played any of these other games, like Galaxy Heroes or Strike Force, this will be absolutely nothing new to you. The stars increase the base stats of these characters, which for this game are based off the Division stats, firearms, electronics, and stamina. And then the gear can increase certain stats like crit chance and defense, and other things like that. But those are pretty straightforward. The new thing here with this game that you have with this is going to be the weapons. And the weapons are kind of an additional layer. They function mostly as stat sticks, but they also kind of change up how your character is going to operate at the same time. It's kind of a you customize what weapon you want. You have an option of 3 different weapons for each different character, and right now I'm showing the weapons that you can use for Sam Fisher in the game, which, side note, Sam Fisher looks absolutely amazing in this game, so fingers crossed, hopefully he holds up. But the difference with his weapons is that you kind of change up what he's going to do. You can go for a semi-automatic weapon that is going to give higher accuracy and damage with his attacks, but it has a smaller magazine. Or you can equip something like an automatic weapon that gives a higher magazine size, but then you also have the cost of lower accuracy and damage. So there are ways you can mix and match the weapons, kind of change things up, and it seems mostly like stat sticks right now, but hopefully the devs start customizing that, or maybe it does something where it changes how the character operates on the battlefield. So that will be something to look forward to. Maybe they address that or add something to that in the future. Currently, there are a few different game modes within the alpha, and the first one is Campaign, where you have this story where you're fighting against this big evil organization called Umbra. In fact, when you boot up the game, it gives you this nice little trailer for the campaign, so I'm assuming that the developers are putting some good effort into this campaign if they're going to be using a trailer to really hype it up at the start. So I expect that we'll be getting some good returns with that. There's a hero and there's also a villain campaign as well. There's a game mode called Territory War, which sounds much like what you'd expect in Galaxy Heroes. It is also a guild versus guild mode, but the mechanics are pretty different. There's an attack and a defense phase for Galaxy Heroes with Territory War, and then for this game with this Territory War, there's going to be a first phase where you actually recruit characters for your fights, and then phase 2 is the actual PvP area of the fight. There are restrictions for recruiting. You have these different missions. You have to go and fight the missions. You get recruiting tokens. And then once you get those tokens, you're able to then use those characters for your missions when fighting against other teams. But there are some certain restrictions for it. You have to have a full team of level 20 characters. You have to be able to get the characters that you need to bring onto your team. So if you have 4 different characters, but you can only recruit one of them, you can only use one of those characters. It's kind of confusing to explain. I think once I can actually play it for myself, I can get a bit more of what's going on there. And then you also have Arena, where you are going to be fighting against other players, but this one's a bit different. Instead of your daily payouts where everyone's fighting to claim that #1 spot, this is over a whole week. It's basically like a seasonal kind of event where every week you fight against other players and you earn points, and then those points get you onto a board, and as you hit the certain point milestones, you unlock rewards like money and the character shards and everything. So it's kind of a progression based system within a final leaderboard giving rewards to players. And honestly, usually when you get these kind of events, the top 100 get like the best rewards, and everyone outside that gets pretty good, like just garbage rewards. And that so far in the alpha does not seem to be the case. The top 100 do get really substantial rewards, but as long as you get into those higher point tiers and the milestones, you are still going to get significant point rewards. It's top 100 of the top tier get the best rewards, but anybody who's within that top milestone area will still get very, very good rewards. So it's not the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. Everyone who participates and can get into those higher tiers are still going to be able to get very good rewards. So that's nice to see. And honestly, it's going to be a nice refreshing change of pace, where instead of everyone's fighting for that #1 spot, now everyone's fighting to earn points, and it's not as competitive as you would see in Arena for other games. Now, that's pretty much the PvP aspects. There's not a lot to go for PvE outside of campaign right now, so maybe in the future we'll see some more PvE modes added in. There's nothing like Galactic War or anything like that, so there's definitely room to add more PvE content for this game. But enough about the game modes, let's go ahead and dive into the real meat of this game and what I think really sets it apart from the other games I've played, and that is the combat. When it comes to preparing for combat, you pick your teams, you have your different characters with different subclasses, attacker, defender, and specialist. They have their different perks, so you want to kind of mix and match, bring everything in. But then in addition to selecting your characters for battle, you also have the ability to select something called command abilities. Now, these are pretty wide in variety. There's one that's a drone strike, there's an EMP field, there's a barrier, there's a bunch of different abilities for this that you can bring to the field, but you can only bring 2 of them at a time, so you need to choose 2 that you think are going to work well with the team that you have currently available. Now, in terms of these command abilities, you also have different things in there where you can change up different perks or different things, like for example the drone strike with the airstrike. It can either target one enemy multiple times or do an AoE effect where it hits all targets within a certain radius. So there are different ways you can customize these abilities, where they also have bonuses if they hit certain things, like with the silence ability or the EMP ability, it gets a bonus duration if you silence someone who's using an active ability, or you can then in turn reduce the cooldown. You can choose one of those 2, so it kind of, you mix and match what you want to bring to the table with these command abilities. There's a lot of wide variety, and so this is something that I think is pretty cool, is that you get to choose these and they give you these really big superpowers that you can use at certain times. Now, once you go into combat, usually we're used to turn-based battles, you know, where people fill up their speed bars and then they take turns based on who's ready to go next. In this game, this is all real-time combat, meaning that you're going to have to constantly be watching the field, making sure who's doing what, seeing what's going on, and then using your abilities as needed. Now, currently in the alpha, you are not able to use the special abilities that come with your characters. Now, you know, I haven't really talked about them, but in overall, some of your characters do have these special abilities where they have certain things that they can bring to the table. Like Montaigne is one of the starting characters. He can taunt with his special ability. Another character named Megan, who's from the Division, her special ability is to call a turret. There's a bunch of different special abilities that these different characters can use. Now, right now in the alpha, they use them automatically, meaning you cannot choose to use them, though in some of the earlier footage that I may show if I still have it, you can actually see where different characters, you can tap on their portraits and they can use these abilities on their own. We do not have that currently in the alpha. They seem to just be having these used automatically, so you don't really have control over that. You just have control over the command abilities in the bottom right corner, and as the battle goes on, you can see those abilities start to fill up, and once they're full, you're able to deploy them to the field, where once you tap on that ability, you're then able to use it to select either someone on your team or on the enemy team based on what the ability is. Now, this is pretty straightforward, but the overall fact that it's kind of real time and that you're constantly having to watch things means you have to be tactical in what you do, and this is what I really love, is that you can't just kind of sit there and, you know, put it on auto or something. You have to be involved with the battle, and you actually have to play these abilities at the right time. And this is kind of why I'm also hoping that the character abilities will come back to being manual activation, or have some kind of ability where you can switch between auto or manual. So hopefully they do change that in the future, but having this real-time battle with these abilities, these command abilities, and these character abilities, and all this other stuff, that's what I really like, and that's what I'm really excited for with this game, is that just this whole real-time thing. You know, I'm used to turn-based, so being able to do a game where it's real-time battles instead with something like this kind of feels refreshing for me, and that's part of why I'm so excited, is I'm ready to play something like this that's all real-time, and that's what I'm really looking forward to with this. Now, overall, the basic systems for combat are pretty similar. You have 2 teams of characters, you have health bars, and the first team to fall is the loser. So, obviously, you know, there's nothing special there. It's just the fact that it's real time and you have these command abilities and you have this wide variety of what you can bring with those abilities, and really kind of pick and choose, and also really leave the door open for some theory crafting about what different teams could be using for these abilities. So that's really combat in a nutshell, just kind of showing the why I think this combat is going to be really fun. And honestly, overall, I'm very excited to try out this game, not just a fan of the Tom Clancy games, but also there's a big AAA studio behind it. Ubisoft is developing this game, so I know that they're going to be putting effort into this. So hopefully this game does turn out as well as it looks in the alpha right now. And honestly, the devs seem to be taking their time with this game. They're not trying to rush it out the door. They're very slow to work on things, and they've also been very, very receptive to the feedback from the alpha players. So that's very good to hear as well. So fingers crossed that they do a good job and that this game really does come out of the gate swinging and does perform really well. So that is it for this video, guys. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about this game? Are you guys excited for it like I am? Let me know down below. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.